You are now tuned in to Sophisticated State of Mind. We are your host. I am Sanayar,
And I'm Miss Anarchy.
and we are going to sit, sip, and smoke, talk about anything and everything, but keep it sophisticated with a
The
good old dick twist. And today, of course, we're going to continue on the supernatural, and we're going to talk about aliens and
Mythical creatures.
that's right.
Ooh.
So I was thinking about this, right? I
Yes,
was
tell me.
really thinking about this. And aliens, we could talk about that all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But mythical creatures,
Which we're going to. Like, let's
mythical
deep dive
creatures.
into some
See,
aliens.
I'm thinking when I think of mythical creatures, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think about like mythical creatures that are mixed with human, like a centaur. You know what I mean? Something like that.
A mythical creature is basically any creature in, like, folklore. So think of vampires, fairies, elves, like your Lord of the Rings
Right.
type of mythical creatures, but you also have your, like, wizards, and it's not necessarily human mixed with it. It's just any sort of, like, magical thing. Like a
Okay.
creature that has like
Mythical,
some sort of
magical.
like magical aspect to it, something that's not necessarily you don't see often. Like a centaur is technically considered a mythical creature because it's half human, half horse, so it's this hybrid of this thing that like that doesn't fucking make
But
sense.
is it?
But does it?
Is
Do
it?
you know?
Yeah.
I believe, like, for me, it's like why is there folklore
Mhm.
of mythical creatures if they didn't exist?
Yeah.
Why are there stories? How does everybody have some sort of mermaid
Right.
and vampire? Like when you look into like um certain sorts of history,
Mhm.
and how like Russian history has like their vampire lore, and
Right.
America
Over there.
has
Yeah.
their, and like everything, and like the Japanese have their vampire lore, but it's called
Yeah.
something different in wherever you go, but it's the
The
same
terminology
thing.
is different.
The
yeah.
terminology is different, but it's the same thing. It's a fucking vampire. It's
You know what?
it's a this, it's a that. You know what I mean? Like there's
Not to
fairies,
go
there's elves, there's
too far off subject, but I think about that
like
too.
we don't do that all the time.
It's pretty. It's on it, and
Yeah.
you know how you say where this come from.
Yeah.
I always think about that when I think about Star Wars and these characters, right? They're
Okay, yeah.
like
So
George
think about
Lucas
that.
came up with this, but he
That's
came up with all these different
mythical.
alien looking things.
Yeah,
And this
mythical
was all in his
creatures
head.
/ alien. So that's a combination,
Right.
right, of what we're getting into is like the
Right.
Star Wars thing, is they have these aliens, but and these creatures, and I believe 100% that these things probably do exist, or some sort.
In some sort of fashion. Yeah.
Exactly. Like maybe not exactly, but I mean, like, come on now. Come on now.
I mean, you
How does
never know.
Yeah.
I think at some point, to an extent, like everything it's not a conspiracy. It's like at some point, this vampire, let's say, a vampire actually exists.
Okay.
But do they exist to the extent of what they created this person to be? A vampire. And
Is it
what
truly the lore, or
no,
is it something
I
different?
believe there was a vampire. There probably was a person who did drink blood. There probably was a person who only came out at night. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But did he really attack people and suck their blood from the neck? You know what I mean?
Well, that's also the things with stories, is when you play this game of telephone, so like it gets passed down
And it
from
changes.
generation to
Yeah.
generation, and it changes, and you add things to it, and all of a sudden it's just this guy who was weird and drank blood and like only walked around at night, to this crazy vampire. And ooh, I saw one, and I saw the aliens, and I saw the unicorn, but you
All right.
never really know.
So you
But
believe
I
some of this
totally
exists.
believe that there's a possibility of it existing. I'm not canceling it out.
Okay. So what are we talking about? Because I
I think
actually
there's
want to
stuff
get in.
out there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And whether that is aliens, ghosts, fairies, any sort of thing that's questionable that people either believe in or don't,
Mhm.
I think that it is 100% a possibility of existing.
Yeah. And I
Maybe not
also,
in this realm, but in another, or in another, like, dimension or something like
yeah,
that. I feel like there's 100% possibilities of these creatures, because it just it makes sense that way in my mind.
right. The
Why is it okay? There's dogs and humans and all sorts of like regular animals that we believe in. Like, oh yeah, it's a fucking hippo. Like, I've seen a
right.
hippo. I know a hippo exists. It's a hippo. But
No,
a
I
unicorn
okay.
can't?
Now okay, now that you said that, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking about mythical creatures, and I think, okay. So I'm gonna give you my logic, but
Hmm.
first I want to get back on what you're saying because the Earth is billions of years old. Okay,
Yes.
we know, of course, what they say we had the Big Bang or whatever, right? So then I look at things like alligators and stuff like that, and I'm like, these things have scales like dinosaurs and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, a cockroach can be here for freaking ever, can
Can survive
survive
a
a
nuclear
nuclear,
bomb
right,
and
right.
live up to
So we
thousands of,
don't
yeah.
know, and I always go back and be like, well, how did this work out? So how did the caveman even live with the dinosaurs and whatever else was out there? They only telling us about dinosaurs, and we don't even know if the dinosaurs are real because at this point in our life, they mythical creatures. They could have created them, created the bones. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying we've been lied
There's
to
science
a lot, right?
that
But
you can believe in.
you know what I'm
And
saying? But us as humans, we've never seen one. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So how did and what else was there
So
besides that?
basically
We
what
don't
you're
know what the
saying is we had
butterfly
to
looked like.
rely
Evolution.
on these people telling us that this is what existed.
Yeah,
This is what
but
it
we don't
is.
know
Like,
the
we did the
truth.
research. This is what it is. It's like, are you telling us the actual truth, or
Truth,
is
right?
there other shit that you're hiding? I 100% believe there's other
Exactly,
stuff that they're hiding.
exactly.
What
So
are you
when it
hiding?
comes to certain things, and I don't want to dig too much into aliens just yet, but I'm gonna give you my theory and kind of what I think. And
Hmm.
I know this is gonna trip some people out. So a lot of people think that we was created from Adam and Eve and all that.
Hmm.
I really don't believe that. But there's other people out there that think that aliens created this.
Okay.
And the reason why we had centaurs and Pegasus and unicorns and things of that nature was because they were experimenting. They did so many experiments that they kept messing up in these experiments trying to create the human. Okay, so that's why we had a half man, half horse. This is why we had a horse with wings because they were mixing things that didn't quite match, right?
DNA.
Right.
And
Until they found something that worked, which is humans. And there's actually supposed to be aliens that actually look like us. So, with that being said, we don't know if that's folklore or if it's truth because
that is
and
crazy
that's why
to
to
think
me
about.
aliens are very very important and it's something that I'm very interested in because I feel like we both agree there got to be life somewhere else,
Hmm.
right? But this is the reason why I'm fascinated by like I said Pegasus and the Centaur and stuff like that because it's the connection to the aliens to me. You know what I mean? I know some people don't believe it, but to me,
Hmm.
when you think about it, and it's like, well, man, like even some of the animals have evolved, right?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They telling us man came from a monkey, right? And that's evolution. But if you think about a caveman and what they think a caveman looked like, that kind of was some kind of not quite human guy
Yeah,
or
almost.
a human being, right? So you still got to think that if they did that, maybe they did make a mix up,
Hmm.
and then we have the Big Bang, right, which wiped everything out and started over.
So do you think the Big Bang was actually the Big Bang, or do you think the Big Bang was the aliens trying to wipe out what they
I
did?
yes, I truly do believe that.
Mm.
Sometimes I mean, like I meditate a lot, and I know what it's like to connect with everything. And I also been in a situation where I kind of was like, thought I was gonna die, right? And
Okay.
I had I when I felt that, I also felt like I was connected to everything.
Okay.
Like it was like I don't know if it's hard to explain, but it's like you're straggling the fence on that the spiritual realm and the human realm, right?
Mhm.
And then, but in between that, I felt like I was connected to everything on the planet. I mean, everything.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everything that had life, I was connected to it. And I know that's weird, but that's just how I felt at that time when I was going through what I was going through.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's why everything it's weird because everything is connected, but at the same time, I just feel like, and I don't even want to say the government. I'll blame the scientists too. They know stuff.
Part of it. They're
You know what
all
I mean?
part of it.
They know stuff because I mean, we only in space we only can go so far,
Mhm.
right? And in the ocean it's the same.
Mhm.
We only can go so far down
Until you're
until
crushed and you can't explore anymore.
implosion, right?
What's down there? What's
Who
up
knows?
there?
Who
Nobody
knows?
knows.
Nobody knows. So from
Exactly.
top to bottom, we just like
We're in this
clueless.
middle where we can't see what's really going on.
Almost like we in this globe and somebody is like doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's like looking at us in
Like
this
this tank,
little
this
globe.
aquarium
And,
tank. But it's in a
yes.
fucking aquarium
And
tank.
we're a
That's what we're in.
toy.
And they're sitting there and you're
You know what
taking
I
stuff
mean?
out, putting stuff in. And
And people don't think about the connection that's,
crazy.
you know, um, like when we was talking about the superheroes, it's not about being a good superhero or a bad superhero. It's about just the humanity. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that you think and you just like, damn, how is people homeless? How is people and there's abandoned homes everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
And
abandoned
then
buildings.
not only that, but there's also cities that construct anti-homeless devices
Right.
where like it spikes under bridges or bus stops, benches with the things in the middle where you can't
You
lay
can't
down
lay down on
across
it. Yeah.
and you know, like
Yeah.
people preventing people from sleeping on a like why are you what's the point of that? Why are
Exactly.
you doing that to
Exactly.
cause pain?
They already
And
have it bad enough. So why
why
make it
can't they
worse?
sleep under a bridge
Right.
comfortably? Like it's so stupid.
So to jump back on that,
Mm-hmm.
that's my take on how they got to this point. I do feel like there was some alien involvement. You know, we got the pyramids. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we have several locations around the world that just are unexplainable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's you know you got scientists and engineers saying that we don't know how this was done, and these are
Exactly.
probably the smartest people on the planet, and no one has a clue of how these things were done. So I think at some point aliens been tapped in. You know what I mean? They still tapped in, but
All right.
I think there's something going
Let's
on.
get off the aliens
And get
because
back to
get
the
back to the other
mythical
mythical
creatures.
creatures
That's
because
my take
I
on centaur,
totally
which is a mythical creature. That's
you
why I
know
think
what your entire theory that you just spilled out to me about how the aliens um basically created the earth
a bunch of
and
mistakes
yeah made a
yeah.
bunch of mistakes and
Hmm.
that's how they created humans. That makes a lot of sense to me
Yeah.
and it is fucking mind-blowing in my opinion because
Yeah.
it's like well what if that's connecting a lot of
Exactly.
dots and
Right.
it's like well you know what yeah that does make sense that how like everybody knows what a centaur is or what a unicorn is or what
Right.
what a mermaid is
Yeah.
it's
Pegasus.
because
You
you're
know what I
sitting
mean?
there trying to create and that makes so much sense because you're splicing your own DNA because if you're saying that these aliens looked like us
Hmm.
talk like us walk like us create and think like us if you're taking that DNA it's like okay we want to create another creature what other creatures do we need to come from like let's take our DNA and splice it with a fish and then boom mermaid let's take
Right.
ours and splice it with a horse and boom centaur and this
Yeah.
and that
And
and
they
that's
like that ain't work. That
that's
ain't
not
working.
working that's not
Yeah.
working it's creating these things and then you boom wipe it out and let's start over
Exactly.
That makes so much sense to
Exactly.
me.
You know, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it was, you know, a crater that hit." We don't know if it was a crater or a comet
A
or,
laser beam.
you know what I mean? It could have
You know
just
what I
been
mean? It was the
the
aliens.
zapper.
It was
They
the
like, listen, we
aliens.
got to start over and do this right. You know,
Yeah, that makes
cause why the visits? You know what I mean?
checking out.
Why the interstellar visits? You know what I mean? So, but to get back to mythical creatures,
Yes,
we gonna tap into that soon. But the mythical creatures, that's my logic on a lot of them that I can think of.
that's your theory on how they were
Yeah,
created, how they
how
were made.
because I mean it's a
But
part of our stories. I mean
I,
it's folklore, but
it is folklore. But I also like 100% love the idea of, like thinking about it back in the day, and you're you're in the like whatever.
yeah,
I'm trying to think of a timeline, but I can't.
yeah,
But way back in the day, fairyland, and real time, real life, real earth, and you're sitting there, and you're in your little maiden dress, and you're walking down the forest, and then
right.
all of a sudden it's a fairy. You see a fairy, or you see a little glimpse of an elf or a unicorn. Like, I 100% want to believe that existed.
That's my point. Like they
And
only
then
tell us about the dinosaurs. Did we know? Okay, butterflies exist now. What did they look like back then? You know what I mean? They had flying what
you didn't think they were
pterodactyl
like
whatever
that
things.
huge. Yeah.
They made eggs. You know, was the caveman eating an egg? You know what I
Not only
mean?
that,
Like
but if you go to any place that has a a, a very low population of humans,
right.
it's flourishing.
Oh yeah, of course,
Everything's
of
so
course.
much bigger and better and beautiful there. It's because we don't have us assholes
Tearing everything
tearing
apart.
it up,
Right.
ruining it, and polluting it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if back in the day where we didn't have all of these pollutions that are basically destroying the
No
earth,
vehicles
would
to
no vehicles,
nothing.
no roads, no nothing.
Yeah.
So much more oxygen and life. Like, wouldn't you think that there were magical creatures there that were
Of course.
existed?
And but my thing is they only telling us about dinosaurs and stuff like
Yes,
that.
I know.
You know, a
They're
dinosaur has to
slowly
eat.
releasing things, but there's also, this is why we have conspiracy theories and stories like this, is because there's people that are out there that are spreading the good word, of
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yes.
of these things.
Absolutely.
That's why you have this lore. That's why every sort of what am I trying to say? Like, culture.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Every sort of culture has these stories.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
From all around the
Doesn't
globe.
matter what it was. Doesn't
Everybody
matter where
has
you're from. You have these
a mythical
generational stories
creature
passed down of some
existed.
sort of mythical
Yeah.
creature. You sit there and it's Chewbacca, or not Chewbacca, but Chewbacca's from
Bigfoot.
Star Wars.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch.
I'm stupid.
What else they call them? The
Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
And what's the other thing they like to call them?
I don't know.
But yeah.
But then you have the Loch Ness monster, and then you
Right.
have the Chupacabra, and then you have Kukui, and then you have
Right.
Wendigos, and all from all sorts of different cultures. You have these crazy,
right.
like, creatures that you don't know whether or not exist, but you've heard these stories. And if I've heard multiple stories of these creatures, there's an inkling that kind of might have to exist.
Yeah, I mean, like,
have you ever heard about the Kentucky Goblins? There was a whole. They're real things.
but see,
they're little gnomes, and they run around in the little area.
My thing is, who is anybody to tell us that this stuff isn't real? You know what
exactly.
I mean? So I mean, I know people will be like, "Oh, you guys are crazy, whatever." But no one knows. No one has the answer. It's like Santa Claus.
It's all theories.
Easter
it's
Bunny,
all guessing.
You know what I mean? So it's right, but if a scientist can say a dinosaur is real, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the people will eat that up, you can't tell me what the way I'm thinking is not.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's to play devil's advocate. it's because a lot of the time you have when a scientist comes and says, "Oh, the dinosaur is real," and you're like, "Okay," it's like, but here's proof. You don't know whether or not they're making up the proof.
Yeah, you found some bones. You put
Yeah,
them together, but
exactly. You don't necessarily know whether or not they're telling you the truth. That's up for you to decide. But
right.
if they're showing you actual like proof of something existing, then a lot of people are more willing to believe it.
But that's that.
So it's like,
but,
show me proof of a vampire, show me proof of a unicorn.
no, but because they just showing you bones, right? They're showing you dinosaur bones.
Bones that we haven't seen before that are much bigger, that kind of look like a dinosaur, talk
Right.
like a dinosaur.
So my thing is, if you believe in the dinosaur bones, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta understand that something was before that, and
Yeah.
something was before that, and
I
something was
100%
before
agree
that.
with you.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you believe that, what I'm saying, it makes
like you
sense.
said, like there's a lot of people that are closed-minded to the fact that oh no, those things can't exist. That's all fairy tales and blah 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 and BS.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you can believe in this sort of thing, then why can't, if you can believe in the dinosaurs that they existed, if you can believe in these sort of creatures that existed, why can't you believe that there was something
prehistoric, right?
So it doesn't necessarily have to be the name of the mythical creatures, but it's probably what it is, and it looks like it, and it's probably called something different, or there's a logical explanation behind it, but it could have existed.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we are post that era, my thing is back then it was ancient age stuff, right? So dinosaurs, they ain't had bomb computers, they ain't have all that, right?
Yeah.
So now we looking at the moon, we looking at Saturn and Jupiter, not Jupiter, but what's the one with the ring? Saturn. You know what I mean? We looking at what's the other one? Mars. We looking at all this stuff, right?
Do you not know your planets?
Right. I'm trying to think of the ones that's close. You know what I mean? The further ones, we ain't tapping into that. We just know what they look like, but we ain't actually looking at them, like tapping in, right? So there's points that we could see Saturn,
Mercury,
we could see
Venus,
we
Mars.
could see them. We could go outside and be like, look at that. There's the red planet.
Yeah.
So now that
I know what you mean, though. Like,
we're
you can go outside and look at the stars, and you can see Venus, you can see Saturn, you can see Mars.
I think they got something on Mars right now, something roving around. But what I'm saying is that so if you can believe in the past, and that was like nothing, you know what I mean? Now, if you're talking about the future, then why couldn't there be aliens? And why couldn't the aliens be doing this and this and that? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the pyramids are still standing.
Planet's billions of years old.
Right.
We're only here for this insignificant amount of time. We don't know anything that happened.
No.
We are a blip. You know what I mean?
I mean, the average. I'll give a human being 100 years. That's nothing. You know what I mean?
Nothing compared to. Would you rather have 100 or a billion? Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's happened before and what's gonna happen after? Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, that little bit of time it's dust. You know what I mean? So
now that we discussed whether or not we believe mythical creatures are real.
Okay.
What's your favorite mythical creature? What's your favorite little creature that you can think of?
My favorite. You know what? And you started talking about
or lore, or
you started talking about fairies and stuff, right? And I'm just want to go into this real quick. You start talking about fairies, and I was thinking like fairies, and then I was thinking about like wizards and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
And I kind of like that kind of stuff. But then I started thinking also about what they would do if they found out you knew wizardry. You know what I'm saying? Like so to me, I know this sound like fairy tale stuff, but some of this I believe. And they got these ancient books that witches used, and then they're still on this planet. You know what I mean?
We can go
that
into
could have
witches
been passed down from wizards.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. Well, you've heard. Okay, so you know how like the whole like witch thing is like, I have nuked wing of bat, this is that, like
Oh
when
yeah,
they're
yeah,
making
yeah.
their
When
potions,
yeah,
the eye of newt, the this is that, the wing of
yeah.
a bat, blah blah blah.
When they
So I
create
saw
new
this like
stuff.
TikTok the other day, and he was explaining, um, this guy was explaining how that was basically
Code for what?
code for things, because we didn't necessarily, the people in the back in the day didn't necessarily have names for things that we have now, right?
Right. They
So it
had
was like
to kind
nicknames
of.
and codes, and they kind of
Oh,
had to like, this
oh
is what it looks like,
yeah, I
right?
get what you.
So Eye of Newt,
Damn, I never thought about that.
exactly. So Eye of Newt was a mustard seed,
Hmm.
or like a maple leaf was a
Because they
bat
don't
wing
call it
because
what
of
we.
the way it looked, and certain things like that.
Wow, that could have been a bay leaf or anything.
Exactly, exactly. So you had these codes. So like you said, it's all passed down, and so we take it literal, and we're like, oh yeah, which is Eye of Newt, da 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 da, wing of the bat, yeah,
Wait a minute, dang! You just kind of
toe of
blew
a
my
frog,
mind right now.
yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you think that stuff been translated until now? Okay, you said that they were using things because they
They
didn't
didn't
call
have
it
the
mustard.
names,
So
yeah.
do you think that has been translated into to spell books now?
100%. I
Because
feel like it got translated, but literally, because now you're looking for Eye of a
no,
Newt
yes, but
instead of the mustard seed, which is what it was originally. Because
originally,
the same thing happened, like I said before, is when you take a story and you pass it down from generation to generation, it
hmm
turns into a game of telephone
right,
where it's not
right.
the original message. It's translated. You take a sentence and you translate it over and over and over
That's
again. It's not going to come out as the
crazy.
same sentence.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
isn't it? It's
Look,
great.
let me tell you why
Thank you, because you blew my mind with
that's
the
crazy.
alien theory. So I'm so glad I was able to do that.
Yeah, and it's crazy because not to just go into some religious stuff, but it's crazy how because I thought about that because I know somebody who have a spell book.
Hmm.
I ain't gonna say but I know somebody who have a spell book.
Who doesn't?
And but the thing is, I truly believe now that you said that it's been translated for us to understand.
Hmm.
And the only reason why I'm bringing up this religious stuff is because I want to bring up the Bible, and you got to understand that thing had to be translated, and somewhere something got lost in translation.
Hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? But
We
that's
don't know,
crazy. A spell book is like a
like you said.
recipe book.
Hmm.
You feel me?
Hmm.
Like that. Of course, like you said,
All
they
sorts.
using
That's what it's supposed to be, is the ingredients you find from the earth.
right.
And whether or not it's a mustard seed or they actually meant the eye of a newt, like,
Right, right.
we don't know that. It's up for us to translate it. But I personally feel like that guy was correct,
Yeah.
because they didn't have names for things that we have now.
No, no. And it makes
William
sense.
Shakespeare created like half of the English language in his plays,
And that's crazy. That's
and think
crazy.
about how long ago that was. It wasn't very long ago.
Very, very, very
No,
long
it
time
wasn't
ago.
long ago.
I
When
mean,
Shakespeare created half of the English language, that wasn't very
well,
long
it
ago.
wasn't long ago
But
in our terms, but you're right. You're right.
so
But
think about even further back then, when there are witches and there are these magical creatures and there are these things that going on. You don't have certain words for things that we do now.
right,
So
right.
everything did get lost in translation.
That
I think
that
personally.
that shit just it blew my mind because I was like, wow. And immediately I thought of the person who had a spell book,
Hmm.
and I was like, damn, that shit had to be translated. You know what I mean? But even though you got to think about this, man. They if they can have a book for you, and they have books to do things that you shouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, you can find these books,
Hmm.
but if they can have those books, of course they'll have a spell book. You know what I mean? And then a lot of these spell books probably come from a giant big book that was split up or something. I mean, we just don't know, and that's the thing. And so when it comes to mythical creatures, if we want to talk about fairies, wizards, whatever it may be, I I, I know as a grown up it sounds weird me saying this, but I'm never gonna say nothing is possible. You know what I mean? I just feel like
Like nothing isn't possible.
nothing is impossible.
Oh, nothing is, well, same thing.
You know what I mean?
Nothing
Like,
is impossible.
because just because the world may not believe it doesn't mean that it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody can. We talk about the dinosaur sounds all the time.
Yeah.
If man on Earth at this point in time, and how many years further back, wasn't there to experience it, how can you tell me what a dinosaur sound like? You dig what I'm saying? So you can't really tell me a wizard don't exist. You know, and that's just how I feel when it comes to that. And
Yeah.
I would say, to be honest, um, I would say a wizard is probably like my favorite because I'm all about the magic and the
Jeez.
spells.
We circled all the way back for you to finally answer my
Oh,
question.
hey, because you blew my
Wow.
mind. Because I brought it up and then you blew my mind with the book and how they
Yeah,
changed it, and I started thinking and I was like, wow, because immediately I thought witchcraft, but
Uh-huh.
then I was like, they was killing witches back in the day, so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, some people probably hid there was a witch, and then how did the witches get the
The
book?
smart ones did.
Where did they get the book from? You know, where did witches
Yeah.
get it from? What if they got it from a wizard? You know what I mean? So I would say the wizard. Man, I would love to be a wizard. You know what I'm saying? Back then and now. You know what I mean? Shoot. Ha, man, magic?
Yeah. So you 100% believe in that type of stuff then? Magic,
Yeah, I don't
mythical
don't
creatures.
you can't convince me that it doesn't exist. How
I
can
agree.
you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a dinosaur. You could tell me what a scientist found all day, but
It's like, okay. But that gives you more belief into knowing that they're real and that they did exist, right?
mhm.
So when the scientist is showing you evidence that that a dinosaur exists, you hear the bones, here's the way it sounds, here's this, here's that, and you're like, wow, okay, you figured this out from
Dusting
stuff.
some stuff in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. All from like thousands of years ago, and you figured
Yeah.
out how this is. So it's like, yeah, maybe you are
They
hiding
simulated a
fairy
sound,
bones
right?
and this and that,
Right.
and how they sound and what, you know. It's like I absolutely 100% believe
Who's to
that.
say they never found a giant mosquito or something else? Because listen, all these things had to eat. You know what I'm saying? And there's a food chain, and then it even starts down with a lizard to eat, I would say a frog to eat a fly. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And snakes was there. You know what I mean? They had to eat. Everything, the food chain just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So dinosaurs wasn't it. It wasn't just dinosaurs. There was other things
Something
there.
in between there.
Had to be. But
I
in between
absolutely
human and
agree with you.
dinosaurs, something else was there.
Well, put it that way, from a fly to a dinosaur, right? The very lowest bottom of the food chain, whatever
Bottom.
you want to call it, to the top of the food chain, which is supposed to be us or
Us, the human
you
beings.
know,
I
like
would say
there's
dinosaurs, but at that point. in
yeah,
time,
well,
you
at
know what
that
I'm
point, yeah, 100% dinosaurs. So very low to the very tippy top.
saying? Right.
There's so many things in
Oh
between.
yeah, but they only talking about this and that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
Your
it's just
four little leaps.
yeah,
And I
it's
get
like,
it.
come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too many unanswered questions. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna stick to believing in whatever my mind can think of. You know what I mean? And you
I'm
can't
just
convince me
saying that
otherwise.
yeah, exactly. If you show me, I'm more prone to believe the evidence you show me of these creatures being real than if you don't. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
100% I believe it. I might get duped easily, but I'll believe it. I believe that you like mermaids, fairies, unicorns, all
You
of that
can't
good
tell me
stuff
that it's
exists.
not. It's not.
You can't, yeah. You can't prove to me that they don't exist. So
My point exactly.
yeah.
You can argue it, but
Yeah.
you can't prove to me that it
They
doesn't.
do.
So I'm gonna
So
just
I'm
leave it
gonna
at that.
say that they do.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, it's time for you know what.
It is time to play the game.
That's right. It is time for sophisticated, complicated, or just hated. And since we're talking about mythical creatures and all that, we got
Keep it in the family.
yeah, we're gonna keep it in the family. So we
Good,
got
good.
a
In a
centaur,
circle.
a fairy, or an alien.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
yeah, that's gonna be kind of hard. So what's your sophisticated in that cup
Centaur, fairy,
in the alien?
alien.
What is your sophisticated?
I absolutely love the folklore of fairies, like how they steal your name and just like there's certain things about them where they're just so cool and so interesting and these like magical amazing little creatures. I love fairies. I love fairies. I would put them I want to say I want to put them at the tippy top as sophisticated, but I don't think that they're very sophisticated. I would put aliens as sophisticated
Okay.
because I feel like that's the obvious answer. Because with your theory of the aliens creating everything, and the little theory you threw at me right now, like I want to put aliens as sophisticated because there's so much you can deep dive into aliens and what they actually are and what they've done
Right.
and all
Right.
of the lore behind them, and it's much bigger than what's behind fairies
Right.
or centaurs.
True.
So I would put aliens.
So aliens is at the top of the
as
food chain when it comes
sophisticated.
to
Yeah,
these.
exactly.
Yeah,
I would put
they're
aliens
at the
as
top of the food chain when
sophisticated.
it comes to this part.
They don't even comparing apples to oranges.
They're in a league of their own.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
aliens would be my sophisticated. I would put I guess I would put fairies as complicated because they're cool and I like them, and or maybe fairies as sophisticated and aliens as complicated because aliens are pretty complicated. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Depending
I would okay, whatever. I'll put aliens sophisticated, fairies is complicated, and centaurs is just hated because centaurs are like cool or whatever, but it's literally just a horse with like a human
Right.
person attached to it. And if I'm gonna ride a horse, I don't want it to talk back to me.
Or have any kind of human torso whatsoever.
Hey, baby, hey, you didn't
So,
no, right?
I would say that it's tough between alien and fairy, and as much as I love aliens, I believe there's different types of aliens, so it depends on what alien it is. You get what I'm saying? So a fairy just doesn't seem like it would do any harm or anything.
Yeah,
just
that's why it was hard
bring
for me
things.
to like.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
well, there are fairies that do harm,
right?
And then it depends on what sort of same thing with like the aliens. There are different types of fairies, and there's not necessarily like fairies aren't supposed to be these like little do-gooder Tinkerbell
right
creations. The actual lore behind it is much deeper and darker, and it's really interesting when you get into it. So that's why I would kind of put it as complicated because fairies are cool, but like they have that little like Disney like ding aspect of them that people believe in.
What we've been shown,
because that's what you've been shown. But if you dig deep into what the lore is behind it and what they actually do and how like fairies are like what is it like iron hurts them like werewolves, right? Like if they touch it they burn.
Right
and like that's their weakness, and you can like capture them by doing certain things, and you're never supposed to give a fairy your name, and you're never supposed, and there's certain things like that.
A lot of
lore
rules,
and exactly. The same thing with like your aliens and your centaurs and stuff, but I find them so interesting and so cool.
It's just hard.
I guess
for me
I
to
would put
choose.
them as complicated, but I feel like aliens are sophisticated, and while they do also have a lot of lore, but there's so much more into it that you can talk about aliens than you can talk about fairies. So that's my thing.
I think I would put fairies as my sophisticated.
Okay.
Just because there's a lot more to them. But to me, aliens are just so complicated, and not just complicated, just like
complex.
Yeah, there's and then it's
same thing.
So much. It's so much different.
Yeah.
There's so many different types. There's so much. There's just so much behind that. You know what I mean? And
So we
and
both
being a
agree
human,
centaurs.
yeah, yeah.
Centaurs
The reason why I
out
say
of the league.
centaurs is because, like we said, it's at the bottom of the food chain. It's probably centaur to me was an accident. You know what I mean? It wasn't even supposed to be what it is.
I can
So,
understand that.
so yeah, but I think
Someone got a little too friendly with Mr. Ed.
It's yeah, you know what I'm saying. It goes both ways, but I
Yeah.
would say a fairy is my sophisticated. I would say an alien is complicated, and a centaur just
We have.
hated.
That's funny because we have the same reasoning,
Yeah,
but it's
it's
switched.
flipped. It's flipped,
Yeah.
and like I said, it can go either way.
Mhm.
But that's
Yeah,
just my
because
take on it.
It's hard to
You know what I
decide.
mean?
Like that's basically saying what's better.
They're
fairies or
almost the same.
yeah.
You know, like
They-
the complexity of them.
Mhm.
Now that you explain, like there's some dark stuff that's going on. There's some dark shit back there.
Yeah.
But same thing with the aliens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking on the
It's-
scale of who would I want to deal with. I think I deal with the fairies before.
See, that's
It's-
funny because fairies are supposed
and
to be
I-
super
see,
tricky and
I knew you was
this
gonna,
and
I
that.
knew
Yeah,
you was
you
gonna say that.
knew I was
See?
gonna. But like that's the thing is like you like some people like yeah I'd want to come across a fairy, or and some people like no,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not coming across a fairy. I would be that person that leaves out dishes of sugar water to catch the fairies, you know,
Yeah.
and shiny little objects. Like yeah, come to me, like be my friend. Heck yeah, I want to be
Yeah.
friends with fairies.
So yeah, fairy would be my sophisticated, alien complicated, and centaur. I mean, fuck, I just hate
All right.
it.
I can see it. I can see it.
So what's next?
Well, now that we have done our game, let's take it down to sophisticated note. So this is a special little song you showed me, right? And it's called "Ooh Na Na Na" by J Peace.
Okay.
So I'll play it for you, and we'll talk about whether we gas it or pass it.
All right.
Let's do this.
Check it out.
Now let me take you on a journey to the center of my room. Think we rolling on speakers away, I make that thing go boom. Oh my bad, we done rolled on the floor. It's alright, grab them cuffs, let me tie you to the bedpost. See my sex game ain't no joke. I'm a tiger, I'ma bite you, I'ma tease you, I'ma please you. And if your game is tight enough, I'm never gonna leave you. Nah, I'm never gonna leave you. Got more stamina, than a marathon runner, hit more spots than any pro drummer. In that grind mode than a pro skater. When we done freaking, you gon' be leaking till later. 6'9", it's give and take. Bed shakes, balls break, mouth open, but no words escape. 6'9", it's give and take. Bed shakes, balls break, something else crack. What's that? Your back.
All right.
Oh man.
So you tell me what you think about that. Gas it or pass it?
I'm gonna say gas it.
Okay.
I I like you know what I like about that song
Mhm.
is that it was given a female perspective. You know, we
Yeah.
like to hear the guys talk like that. You know what I mean? But
Not
it
just
was
the
given a female
Female
perspective.
perspective, in my opinion, it was a lesbian perspective.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what I
yeah,
thought of.
yeah.
It was girl on girl lesbian perspective, and I in that sense I dug it. I liked it, and I can kind of vibe with it. However, music like that
Mhm.
does make me cringe. And that's just me personally, where it's like sex music. It's like I want to put it on, yeah. I want to, I want to, like that. For some reason, just makes me cringe. And
Let me see.
I can listen to it, but I'm gonna listen to it like with
From
the
a
windows
distance,
up and or my headphones in, and you're not gonna hear what I'm listening to.
you know, from
not
doing,
gonna admit it.
from doing music, I look at so much like if I don't like the lyrics, that's not the one thing that'll make me not like the song. You know what I'm saying? It's
No, I
more
agree.
of like I'm listening to how she was delivering it, how the chorus was, how the music went, how she went with it. And it was just like, damn, that shit was put together pretty nice.
Yeah.
Now, I'm kind of the same way because it's like, yo, that's dirty. So, you know, I got to have my stuff up,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But depends on where I'm at or who I'm with, too.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But
Like, I want to say that it was a good song in the sense where it had a good beat, a good little rhythm to it, and it was
Yeah.
going. But it was an awkward topic, but it's still like she delivered it well.
yeah,
She delivered it
like,
really well, and
she had a voice
where
for
like
it, too.
yeah, exactly. I listened to this is my second time hearing it
Uh,
because I heard it the first time. The second time hearing it, and the second time hearing it, actually listening to it, I was like, okay, I kind of dug it more. And I
yeah.
kind of liked it a little more, you know.
No, yeah. Listen, if it
And
ain't your
it's,
speed,
It is
ain't
like
your
if it ain't my speed,
speed,
I'm not
you know
gonna.
what I'm
I'll
saying?
tell you, I'll pass it. But like I said, like I would probably like maybe listen to it once or twice, or kind of like okay, I wouldn't skip it if it came up on my playlist or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh we're playing this song. All right, we're not,
Yeah.
you know. But also, it's one of those things where I might skip it because it is a little cringy in the sense where it's like those
It's
super
very, very
like over
intense,
sexual songs
Yeah,
can get pretty cringy. She however delivered it pretty well,
yeah.
but it was still had that cringe level just for me personally.
What she was saying, but it was like, and
Well,
I looked
when you
at it.
anytime you talk sexually, in my opinion, like when you're doing a song like that, like
Mhm.
with who's the one that's Orna, that
Mhm.
song Orna,
Yeah.
like it's a good song. They did it very well. However, it's super cringe.
Yeah.
It can still be
It's-
super cringe, where it's,
It's
like,
like you ain't playing that with
I
the
feel-
kids in the car. You
Nah.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
You know what
So
I'm
this
saying?
one it was good, but it was kind of on that level where it was like a good, I could play with it, like yeah, I kind of like it, but also it's
Yeah.
like okay, depending on who walks
Yeah,
in, turn
yeah.
it down.
Like that's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying. It depends on who in the car, where
Yeah.
I'm at, whatever. But
All
overall,
right, so you guess it.
I'd gas it. I would.
I'm kind of on the verge of like passing it
Yeah.
in a sense because it's not my typical
It's
thing
either
to
or. It
listen
ain't no
to it.
motherfucking middle. You got to give us what you
Fuck,
want.
dude, I guess pass it, but I also do kind of want to gas it up where it was a decent song.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm not gonna say I absolutely hate it, but it's not my forte.
It's not up to us.
Yeah.
We decide what we want, what we like, but it ain't up to us.
You
It's
tell
up to
us.
you guys out there.
What you think? Gas or pass it?
You guys gas or pass. And what I'm thinking about doing at the end of the year, I'm thinking about putting all these on a sophisticated playlist, and it'll be an exclusive to you guys, especially exclusive to our Patreon. It will definitely be exclusive, but we're gonna make a playlist of everything that has been gassed by you guys.
So speaking of Patreon and stuff like that, we have not discussed what's the little elephant in the room right now.
What's the elephant in the room?
Well, what are you wearing?
What? Oh.
Oh, what are we wearing? Did
Oh.
you notice? Did you notice
We
how
got new merch.
fly we are looking right now?
If y'all want some of this merch, hit us up in our DMs on Instagram at SophisDICKated SOM.
Yes,
If you want to check out
please.
some of this merch,
Follow us on Patreon. We're giving out exclusive stuff.
yes,
Let us
sir.
know.
Yes.
Hats, stickers. We got the shirts now. We're making it official.
Official, like a whistle.
Yes. So
You
with
dig
that
what I'm
being
saying?
said, I think
Mhm.
we're done here. We're going to
That-
close it out.
That's right.
Please check us out on our next episode. We're going to go in a little bit more about aliens and conspiracy theories and all of that good stuff. Let us know what you think. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff. Sophisticated State of Mind. Please, please, please check us out on Patreon. Let us know. All of that good stuff. That being said,
And check us out. Check our podcast out on all the streaming podcasts.
yes,
Not on Apple
please.
yet, but check us out on everything else.
Spotify,
iHeart, Spotify,
all that
Google
good stuff.
Podcasts, Audible, everything.
So with that being said, keep your pinkies up and your dicks out.
Cheers.
Keep it sophisticated.
Peace, y'all.